in all the years to come, in your most private moments, I want you to remember the one man who beat you. Damn.
He really kicked that guy's ass. Whoever that other guy was actually got destroyed. Dark Knight Returns? More like Dark Knight kicks a lot of ass. Maybe too much. Hey nerds, I've been wanting to talk about this movie for a while now. As most of you do, I was getting that Batman itch and thought I'd rewatch this film. And I remember it being great, but this is more than that. This is more than a hero returning. It's about a rebirth, in body and soul. The film starts off with a Gotham that is riddled with crime and a new gang, the mutants, who rule the city through fear. It sounds like someone we know. Bruce has been retired from Batman for 10 long years. The city has forgotten about him. He's become a myth again, a legend, a folklore. Criminals no longer fear the bat signal, the shadows, or the darkness. And Bruce, he feels like a shell of himself at the beginning of the film. No mission, no purpose. He's the last hero I would expect in retirement. It's just not who he is at heart, in my opinion. And he's also forgotten the promise he made to his parents all those years ago in Crime Alley. He's an old man now, in his 50s, far from the peak of his career, with a long list of regrets and success. Now, why I love this film so much is because it never forgets who Batman is at the end of the day. Even though this is a different Batman story set in a different time, it's about an older Bruce and a very different Gotham. It still chooses to stick to the core of the character, but it still changes things enough to feel different and stand alone. Gotham feels unfamiliar. The villains have aged too, just like Batman. Two-Face and Joker have aged. There's this sense that the old days of supervillains and Batman are over, and everyone's time is running out as life has just kept going on without them. Eventually, Bruce has a life crisis. Not sure why, since he's a billionaire and can just ride in the Batmobile every day. I would probably just order everything on Amazon for real therapy. Why would I need 10 air fryers? No reason at all. But he starts to remember the promise he made after his parents died.
Just remembering a promise, Alfred.
Which was?
Never again.
If you're enjoying this video, smash that like button, subscribe for more, and check out my Twitter for nerdy content. The movie also shares some themes with The Dark Knight Rises, which I feel is way too underrated. Is it as good as the other two films in the trilogy? Definitely not, but it's still a great film in my opinion. And in that film, we had an older Batman too, and he had to relearn what it meant to be Batman, both mentally and physically. And his climb out of the pit was so inspiring. It became my personal favorite of that trilogy because it was about becoming lost and finding your way back. No matter where you are in your life, you're going to become lost and have to find your way back again. And even Batman goes through that.
What does that mean?
Rise.
In The Dark Knight Returns, Bruce pretends it's okay to let go of Batman, thinking his time is over. But seeing Gotham suffer, families being murdered like his, reminds him his mission never ends, and he dons the cape once again. Watching Batman rediscover himself is exhilarating. He doesn't know if he's still strong enough, agile enough, or determined enough to do it, but we see how much experience has grown him. For example, Bruce uses everything he's learned from fighting his past villains. Fear toxin from Scarecrow, freezing tech from Mr. Freeze, and chemical substances inspired by Clayface's biology. He pushes himself to his limits in this film, and at points, you genuinely feel like he could die, like in his fight with the mutant leader.
That it? You getting tired, old man?
Shut up.
This makes you question whether he should really retire, if this is the way that Batman should die, and whether he'll ever have peace. What I realized after this film is that Batman can never have peace. It's just who he is. It's what was done to him as a child. He cannot stop, just as the sun must set.
You're not finished with me. You're never finished with me.
There are also moments showing the public's response to Batman. Vigilante justice isn't widely supported anymore, despite the insane levels of crime. And Batman might even be unintentionally escalating chaos. People are drawn to him, the myth, and that creates even more violence from psychologically disturbed citizens who become villains. It's an interesting question. To me, this feels like a fresh take on Batman, decades later from when the source material came out. Now that's good writing, folks. The comic came out in 1986, and the animated movie that I'm reviewing right now came out in 2013. Yet the themes still feel relevant today. That's the mark of a great story. It outlasts its lifetime and feels fresh whenever you watch it. What the film understands so well is that being Batman means remembering the pain of Bruce's past and never letting it happen to anyone else. And unlike Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which made me dread getting older because it made that look depressing, The Dark Knight Returns convinced me that with age, I will only get more badass. Hopefully like Batman. The relationship between Batman and Robin is also really interesting in this movie. The Batman is a bit different from other interpretations we've seen. He sees his Robins as soldiers, and he knows the war has to continue even if he loses soldiers along the way, like Jason Todd. This film reminded me why Batman needs a Robin, to lighten the mood, to challenge him, and to show just how different Batman is from the rest of humanity. There's only one Batman, but there can be many Robins. And here, Robin genuinely saves Batman when he underestimates himself because of his age, even though he'd never admit he needed the help. Now let's talk about Joker. I love how this film portrays him. As soon as Batman disappears, after being forced into retirement by the government, Joker basically stops existing. He has no purpose, no drive, and becomes catatonic. But the moment Batman returns, Joker mentally snaps back to life with a full endgame in mind. And this time he's more brutal, more savage, and more unhinged than we've ever seen. He goes on a horrifying murder spree, pushing Batman to the edge and forcing him to lose his self-control. It proves Joker's point, and you can feel the weight of that moment. It feels like the final chapter of their story, where their twisted rivalry has always destined to end. I won't spoil the details, but it hits hard. Now let's get into Superman. This interpretation is so refreshing because Batman and Superman really feel like rivals. Or at least Batman frames them this way. We're used to seeing them as friends, but here, there's ego, resentment, and ideological conflict. Batman wants to prove he can beat Superman, that he always could. But what makes it compelling is that this Batman is not in his prime. He's old, he's slow, and mortality is catching up to him. Meanwhile, Superman basically hasn't aged at all, and now he works directly for the president, the last allowed hero because he obeys orders. And as Green Arrow says in the film, the world isn't big enough for the two of them. This film really shows Batman's unmatched determination and strategic brilliance. He always has a plan, even when the odds seem impossible, like facing Superman head-on. Overall, this is a must-watch for Batman fans. Honestly, this might be the real Dark Knight movie people should talk about more. Is that going too far? I just love how it captures a different Batman than we've ever seen in live action. The animation is still gorgeous, the cinematography feels ripped straight from the comic panels, and the voice acting delivers a perfect, older, world-weary Batman that still stands apart from Kevin Conroy's iconic performance. We've still got a long way until the next live-action Batman in 2027, but this movie absolutely filled that gap for me, and it might for you too. So are you going to watch The Dark Knight Returns, or just read the comic? Are you Team Batman or Team Superman in a real fight? Let me know down in the comments. And remember, I'm just another nerd. Stay nerdy out there, friends.